The sky burned with red light as Kralevek stepped off the dropship and onto the jungle floor. She landed silently, her boots sinking slightly into the damp moss. The air was thick with heat and the scent of rotting leaves. Trees towered above, like giants, their trunks wrapped in vines that pulsed faintly in the dim light. Strange calls echoed through the canopy, some high-pitched, others deep and guttural. She recognized none of them. Krala took a slow breath through her mask. Her kind did not fear this place. They were born for it. She was Krelan, warrior-born. And this was her trial. Behind her, the ship lifted off without a word. There would be no return until the hunt was done. That was the law. She looked down at the small screen on her wrist. A single blinking dot marked her target's position, 100 kilometers to the west. It had been 7 days since he was dropped here, 7 days to survive. Now she would end it. Her prey. A human. She had seen them before. Pale, soft-skinned, fragile things. They cried easily, they broke even easier. This one would be no different. Still, she respected the trial. Every warrior had to complete it. Only by hunting alone, without aid, could they prove themselves ready for war. She activated her cloak. With a flicker, her body vanished from sight. Then, she began to move. Jarek ran. His feet slapped against wet earth. Sweat poured down his back. His shirt clung to his skin like a second layer of flesh. He didn't stop, couldn't stop. Behind him, something moved. Not an animal. Not quite. He had heard it again that morning, the soft hum of something unnatural, moving through the trees. He saw the footprints too, three-toed, sharp, too big for any native beast. He knew what it meant. They had sent someone after him. Again. He had survived the last two, barely. But this one felt different. Faster. Smarter. He wiped sweat from his eyes and kept running. The jungle was dense here. Thick vines hung like curtains. The ground was uneven, littered with roots and rocks. He ducked under a low branch and leapt over a fallen tree. His lungs burned, but still, he ran. He had learned early. In places like this, stopping meant death. Krala watched him from the shadows. She had found him hours ago. Tracked him through the forest, silent and unseen. She had expected more from a human. So far, he was just another scared animal running for its life. She tilted her head, studying him through her scope. He wasn't strong, not fast. His frame was lean but tired. He wore old clothes, torn and stained. No armor. No weapons beyond a short blade at his hip. And yet, there was something strange about how he moved. He avoided traps. Stepped only where the ground was firm. He never made noise unless he had to. That was not normal for prey. She adjusted her grip on her spear. It didn't matter. Soon it would all end. She waited. Jarek stopped near a stream. He crouched low, catching his breath. His chest rose and fell, quickly. He listened. Silence. No hum. No footsteps. Maybe it had lost him, or maybe it was waiting. He reached into his bag and pulled out a strip of dried meat, took a bite, chewed slowly. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten much in days. He looked up at the sky. Red clouds drifted slowly across the suns. The air was cooling now. Night would come soon. He needed shelter. He stood and scanned the area. There, a hollow log nearby, big enough to hide inside. He could rest there for a few hours, just a few. He moved carefully, checking the ground as he walked, always watching, always listening. He reached the log and crouched beside it, pressed his ear to the bark. Nothing inside. Good. He slipped in. Darkness swallowed him. He curled up, pulling his jacket tighter, and waited. Sleep came slowly. Krala watched from the trees. She had followed him the whole way. Never got too close. Never made a sound. Now she crouched in the branches above, her cloaked form invisible. Below, the human slept inside the log. She could kill him now. One throw, one strike. That was all it would take. But she hesitated. Why? Because something felt off. He had led her here, as if he wanted to be followed. She narrowed her eyes. No, that was impossible. Humans weren't clever like that. Still, she stayed in the tree. She would wait. She would watch. And when the time was right, she would strike. Hours passed. The jungle grew darker. Insects buzzed. Somewhere, a creature howled. Krayla shifted slightly. Then, she saw it. Movement, not from the log, from behind her. Something else was here. She turned her head slowly. Through the trees, she caught a glimpse. A shadow. Tall. Moving low. Another hunter? No, this one was different. Too large. Too quiet. Her heart pounded. She wasn't the only predator in this jungle. And suddenly, she realized something. She had been so focused on the human. She forgot this place was full of things that hunted, hunters. Krayla didn't move. She stayed in the tree, frozen. Her eyes followed the shadow through the jungle. It was big, taller than her, wider too. It moved low to the ground, silent like a ghost. Its form blended with the dark. She couldn't see it clearly, but she could feel it. Predator. Not human. Something older. She tightened her grip on her spear. This wasn't part of the trial. The humans were supposed to be alone. No weapons, no help, just fear. So why was this thing here? And more importantly, what was it? She watched as it passed below her branch, moving slowly. Its body was covered in thick plates. Its arms dragged along the ground, claws scraping stone. Then, it stopped. Right under her. Its head tilted up. She held her breath. It sniffed the air. Then it moved on. Only when it was gone did Krayla exhale. She looked back at the log where the human slept. Suddenly, he didn't seem so weak anymore. Maybe this jungle wasn't just a hunting ground. Maybe it was something else. A test. But for who? Jarek woke before dawn. His body was stiff. His neck hurt. He hadn't slept much, but he had rested enough. He crawled out of the log carefully, scanning the trees. Silence. Too quiet. He stood and stretched. Then he saw it. Tracks. Fresh ones. Three-toed. Big. He frowned. They were close. Too close. He knew someone was following him, had known since the third day. But now there was something else. More than one predator in the jungle. Good. That's how it should be. He pulled his pack over his shoulder and started walking. No time to waste. He had work to do. Krayla followed from the canopy. She kept high, moving between branches like a shadow. She had learned to stay off the ground. The forest floor was dangerous now. She had seen more signs since last night. Claw marks on trees, blood on leaves, and worst of all, silence. No birds, no insects, just the heavy hush of something watching. She checked her screen again. The human was still moving west. He wasn't running, he wasn't hiding, he was heading somewhere. She narrowed her eyes. Why? Jarek reached the clearing by midday. It was small, surrounded by tall grass and thick trees. A perfect spot. He dropped his pack and got to work. First, he cleared the leaves and dirt from the ground. Then he dug shallow holes, placing sharpened sticks inside them. He covered each with thin leaves and soft soil. Traps. Simple, effective. He worked fast, efficient. Every movement had purpose. He had done this before, many times. As he placed the last trap, he paused. Something was wrong. He looked up. Through the trees he saw movement. Fast, quiet. He ducked behind a rock, waited, listened. Then he saw her. Krayla, the hunter. She was good. Fast, silent, but not invisible. He saw the shimmer in the air. She was watching him, studying him. He smiled slightly. Perfect. Let her watch. Let her think she was in control. She had no idea what she was walking into. Krayla crouched in the shadows, watching. The human was working, building something. She didn't know what, but it looked deliberate, careful, smart. She blinked. That word again. Smart. She shook her head. No, humans weren't smart. They panicked. They ran. They died. And yet, he wasn't running. He wasn't dying. He was preparing. For what? She leaned forward, trying to see better. Then she saw it. The trap. One step too far, and the ground would give way beneath her. She froze. Her heart pounded. He had seen her. He had set that trap for her. She backed away slowly, careful not to make a sound. When she was safely hidden again, she exhaled. She had underestimated him. Bad mistake. She looked at him again, still working, still calm, like he knew she was there. Maybe he did. She felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. This wasn't a hunt, it was a game, and maybe she wasn't the one playing it. Jarek finished his work. He stood and looked toward the trees. Nice try, he whispered. Then he turned and walked away. He didn't need to look back. She was still watching, still following, still thinking she was the hunter. He smiled again. Let her believe that. For now. Because soon, she would learn. Humans didn't run because they were scared. They ran because they always had a plan. And Jarek? Jarek never missed. Krayla moved carefully through the jungle. She no longer walked on the ground. She climbed into the trees, using the branches like a path. Every step was slow, every breath measured. The human had seen her. And worse, he had trapped for her. That meant he wasn't just running, he was hunting too. She checked her screen again. The blinking dot had stopped moving. He was waiting. For what? She didn't know. But she wasn't going to let fear stop her. She was Creelan, a warrior. She would finish this hunt, even if it meant walking into a trap. Jarek sat on a rock. He cleaned his blade with slow, careful strokes. His fingers were calloused from years of survival. His face was calm. He could feel her watching. Again. She had followed him all day, staying high in the trees, trying to stay unseen. It wouldn't save her. He stood and stretched. Then he walked, forward, stepping over roots and rocks like he owned the jungle. He knew exactly where he was going. He reached the riverbank by dusk. The water ran fast and deep. It carved through the stone like a snake. He crouched at the edge and looked down. There, hidden beneath leaves and dirt, was one of his traps. A tripwire, attached to a net, loaded with spikes. He smiled slightly. Perfect. He stepped back and waited. She wouldn't take long. Krayla saw him stop. She dropped silently from the trees, landing in a crouch. Her body shimmered as the cloak reactivated. She stayed low, watched, waited. He was near the river now, standing still, looking at the ground. Why? Then she saw it, a line in the dirt, thin, almost invisible. Her eyes narrowed. A trap. Of course. She shifted, her weight. One small step, too far. Her foot brushed the wire. Nothing happened. She froze. Silence. Then, a loud snap. The ground beneath her gave way. She fell. Fast. Hard. She hit the bottom with a thud. Pain shot through her leg. She looked up. The net had fallen over her. Spikes pointed inward. One wrong move, and she would impale herself. She cursed under her breath. He had set this. For her. Again. Jarek heard the trap spring. He didn't run. Didn't rush. He walked calmly to the edge of the pit. Looked down. Krayla glared up at him, breathing hard. He could see pain in her eyes, but not fear. Yet, "You're good," he said, voice quiet. "But not good enough." She didn't answer, just watched him, waiting. He turned and walked away, leaving her trapped. Let her think about how easy it was to fall. Let her wonder what else he had made. Let her feel helpless. Because that's what prey felt. Now she understood. Krayla worked quickly. She reached into her belt and pulled out a small blade, cut the rope holding the net. It loosened. She pushed it aside and tried to stand. Pain shot through her ankle, sprained, maybe broken. She gritted her teeth. This wasn't over. She limped out of the pit, scanning the trees. He was gone. But she knew where he was heading, back toward the jungle, toward deeper danger. She followed, slowly, carefully. Not as a hunter anymore, as something else. Something hunted. Jarek kept moving. His ankle hurt. Not badly, but enough. He had twisted it when he jumped over a root hours ago. He ignored it. Pain was part of life. He reached a clearing, stopped, looked around. Then he pulled out a small stone and drew a symbol on the tree, an eye with a hand across it. Old Earth. Meaning, I'm always watching. He smiled. Let her see it. Let her understand. She wasn't chasing him. He was leading her. Where? Only he knew. Krayla found the symbol later that night. She stared at it, felt a cold shiver go through her. It wasn't just a mark. It was a message. He was playing with her mind, making her doubt. Was she really hunting, or was she being led somewhere? She looked ahead. Darkness. Thick trees. No signs of life, only silence. She swallowed, then took a step forward. She had no choice. She had to end this. Now, before he decided to end her. Hours passed. The jungle grew colder. Krayla's ankle screamed with every step. Still, she moved. Then she saw it. Light. Flickering. Fire. She crouched low, peered through the trees. There, in a small clearing, Jarek sat near a fire, alone, unarmed, sleeping. This was her chance. She reached for her spear, took a slow breath. Then she stepped forward, into the clearing, and into the trap. The ground gave way. She fell, hard. This time, there was no net, only spikes. She barely rolled in time. One spike grazed her side. Blood. She gasped. Then she heard it, a soft click. From above. She looked up. Vines. Pulled tight. Ready to release? She realized too late. This wasn't a trap. It was a warning, and next time, there would be no second chances. Krayla limped through the jungle. Her side burned where the spike had grazed her. Her ankle throbbed with every step. She was tired, angry, and for the first time in her life, afraid. She had been trained to hunt, to kill, to win. But now she was the one being hunted. By a human. The thought made her blood boil. It wasn't fair. Humans were weak, fragile. They cried when they hurt, they begged when they feared death. But this one didn't beg, didn't cry, didn't run. He planned, and he waited, like a true predator. She clenched her fists. No, she would not lose. Not here, not to him. She pressed forward, deeper into the jungle. Let him try. Let him play his games. She would end this. Soon. Jarek stood still. He listened. The jungle told him things. A broken branch, a rustle in the leaves, a soft breath in the wind. She was close. Hurt. Angry. Perfect. He stepped back from the tree he had been leaning on and walked slowly, toward a clearing. There. He sat down, crossed his legs, waited. He didn't need to hide anymore. She would come. She had no choice. Because now, She wasn't just chasing him. She was trapped by him. Krayla saw him sitting there, alone, calm, like he had been, expecting her. She stopped behind a tree, watched, waited. Her heart pounded. This was it. One final fight, one last chance. She reached for her spear. Then she stepped into the clearing. Jarek looked up, didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared at her. "You're good," he said, "but not good enough." Krayla's jaw tightened. She remembered those words from before, when she was in the trap. She took a slow step forward. "I came here to prove I'm strong," she said, voice low. "I will leave with your head." Jarek didn't laugh, didn't smile. He just shook his head. "No," he said. "You came here to die." And then he stood, slowly, calmly, like he wasn't afraid, like he knew something she didn't. Krayla charged. She threw her spear. Fast, hard, Jarek ducked. The spear flew past him and stuck into a tree. She pulled out her blade and ran at him. Swung. He blocked with a stick. Wood cracked. He pushed her back. She tried again. He sidestepped. Again. She swung wild. He moved like water. Finally, she missed too hard. He grabbed her wrist, twisted. She dropped the blade. He shoved her back. She fell. Breathing hard, heart pounding, she looked up at him. He stood tall, unshaken, unhurt. She had never seen a human like this. Not once. Not ever. "Who are you?" she growled. Jarek looked at her. Then he spoke. "I'm what happens when you take someone who has survived everything and drop them in hell." He walked over to a nearby rock and sat down. "This place," he said. "It's not just a hunting ground." Krayla stayed on the ground watching him. "It's a test," Jarek continued, "for which species can survive the worst." He looked at her. "Your kind? You came to prove strength." He leaned forward. "We came to stay alive." Krayla blinked. "What are you talking about?" Jarek pointed at the trees. "This planet," he said. "It was built, designed, by something older than either of us." He tapped his temple. "They wanted to know which species could live through this, through everything." He looked her in the eye, and we always win. Krayla swallowed. Her pride screamed at her to deny it, to attack, to kill. But deep inside, she believed him. Jarek stood again. He walked over to a tree and pulled off a piece of bark, carved something into it. Then he tossed it to her. She caught it, looked down. It was a symbol, an eye, with a hand across it. Old Earth, old meaning. "I'm always watching." She looked up at him. He smiled, cold, calm, deadly. "You think you're the first to come here?" he asked. She didn't answer. He did anyway. "You're not." He turned and walked away, leaving her alone, sitting on the ground, battered, broken, afraid, for the first time, Krayla Vex felt like prey. Krayla sat on the jungle floor, the bark with the symbol still in her hand. Her body ached, her pride burned. She had come here to prove she was a hunter. Now she was prey, and worse, she knew it. She looked up. Jarek was gone, vanished into the trees like he had never been there. She tried to stand. Pain shot through her ankle. She hissed, tried again. This time she stayed upright. She limped forward, didn't know where she was going. Only that she couldn't stay. Not here. Not after what he had said. "We always win." The words echoed in her head. Humans weren't weak. They didn't just survive. They learned. They adapted. They planned. And now? Now they were hunting back. She reached for her belt. Her blade was gone. Her spear stuck in a tree. No armor, no tools, nothing. Just her and the jungle, which no longer felt like home. It felt like a tomb. Jarek moved silently. He didn't run, didn't hide. He walked like he owned the jungle because he did. He had mapped every trap, every path, every weakness. He stopped near a river, looked down at the water, saw his own reflection. tired eyes, bruised skin, but strong, always strong. He reached into his bag, pulled out a small piece of cloth, wrapped it around his knife. Then he whispered to himself, "Final stage." He turned and walked toward the heart of the jungle, where it all began, where it would end. Krayla followed. She didn't want to, but she had no choice. Something inside her refused to die, refused to give up. She had to know. Was this true? Had humans really survived worse than this? Had they become something else? She moved slowly, carefully. Each step hurt. Each breath was hard. But she kept going until she saw it. A clearing. In the center, Jarek stood waiting, not afraid, not angry, calm, like a predator waiting for the kill. She stepped forward. He didn't move. "You want me to die?" she said. Jarek shook his head. "No," he said. "I want you to understand." She narrowed her eyes. "What is there to understand?" He pointed behind her. She turned. There, among the trees, bones lay scattered. Some were big, some were small, some looked Krelin. Others, unknown, older, dead. "This place," Jarek said, voice quiet. "It wasn't made for hunters." He stepped forward. "It was made to test which species could live through hell." He looked at her. "And humans? We've lived through worse." Krayla stared at the bones, at the jungle, at him, and for the first time, she believed it. Krayla charged, not with rage, not with pride, with fear. She lunged at him, swung, missed. Jarek dodged, grabbed her arm, twisted, pushed. She fell, hard, she rolled, got up, ran at him again, fists flying, feet kicking, trying, fighting, dying. Jarek blocked every hit, dodged every kick, let her tire, let her break. Finally, she swung too hard. He ducked, grabbed her, spun, threw her to the ground. She landed hard, breath gone, eyes wide. He stood over her, didn't raise his weapon, didn't speak, just watched. She looked up, tears in her eyes, not from pain, from shame. "I came here to prove I was strong," she whispered. Jarek crouched beside her. "You came here to learn," he said. He placed his hand on her chest, right above her heart. She flinched, waited, for death. It didn't come. Instead, he said, "We don't kill because we can." He stood, turned, walked away, leaving her alive, leaving her broken, leaving her changed. Krayla sat in the dirt. Long after Jarek was gone, she looked at the sky. Red clouds, strange stars, an alien world. And now, she understood. Humans weren't chosen. Randomly they were selected because they had survived everything. War, famine, fire, ice, death. They had built cities from ruins, made weapons from stone, turned fear into strength. And now they hunted like predators. Silent, smart, unstoppable. She closed her eyes. The jungle was silent, but not empty. It listened. It watched. It remembered. And it waited. For the next hunter. Jarek disappeared into the trees. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He had won. Not with strength, not with tech, with will, with mind, with fire. He walked like the jungle belonged to him. Maybe it did. Behind him, the jungle swallowed Krayla whole. But ahead, more tracks, more signs, more hunters. He smiled, softly, quietly. Because now he wasn't just surviving, he was hunting.